President-elect Joe Biden will be president of the United States in just 10 days, but there are growing calls for Donald Trump to be out of the White House even sooner, following Wednesday's deadly attacks on Capitol Hill. Today, Senator Pat Toomey became the second Republican senator to call on Donald Trump to resign. Since we know Trump will not, there's invoking the 25th Amendment, which only his cabinet could do. That likely won't happen either, leaving Democrats with their only option, which begins tomorrow, introducing one article of impeachment against Donald Trump for incitement of insurrection. While we don't know how many Republicans will support impeachment, we do know there is anger in the party, including from Republicans who've spent the past 4 years enabling Trump at every turn. But not everyone is buying their 11th hour outrage. People like President Obama's HUD Secretary Julian Castro, who warned of Donald Trump's dangerous rhetoric when he ran for president.
President Trump, you referred to countries as shitholes. You urged American congresswomen to go back to where they came from. You called immigrants rapists. As we saw in El Paso, Americans were killed because you stoked the fire of racists. Innocent people were shot down because they looked different from you. Because they look like me. They look like my family. Words have consequences. Ya basta.
Secretary Castro joins me now. Secretary, good to see you. I want you to take a listen to what Mick Mulvaney, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, said just this morning on Meet the Press. Take a listen.
Yes, the rhetoric was very high and very, very fiery. You and I both know, however, that American politicians do this on a regular basis. I could pull you similar clips of Maxine Waters telling people to take to the streets. It's different, though, when, as you said in your entry, that people took him literally. I never thought I'd see that. I'd never thought I'd see a day in our country where people from any side of the political spectrum would storm the Capitol in order to intentionally stop the constitutional transfer of power.
Secretary, why are Republican legislators and cabinet members unwilling to admit that Trump's own words directly led to horrific events? And are they culpable?
Well, I think they have different reasons. For some of them, they're still trying to curry favor with Trump's base. I put folks like Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz and the other senators who continued to object to the certification of the election in that camp. Some of them know that it would also indict them. People like Mick Mulvaney, who stood by while Donald Trump was inciting hate and in some cases violence against immigrants, against other groups. So they don't want to face that themselves. And others truly hold the beliefs that Donald Trump holds, which are bigoted and racist. But either way, as you noted, Alicia, I mean, this has been clear what this man is for a very long time. And even before he ran for president, whether it was essentially calling for the death penalty for 5 young men who did not commit a crime in Central Park in 1989, or any number of other things, this is just the latest in a pattern of behavior of inciting others to violence, or at least stirring up the passions of people, and essentially sanctioning views that lead to violence. And it's something else as well to see that for some of these politicians, they had to feel personally endangered themselves before they could see clearly. You expect more from people in a position of public trust than that. I guess at the end of the day, it's better late than never. But it's also still clear that a lot of those Republicans, both elected officials and just the Republican base, still will not hold Donald Trump to account for everything that he has done. And to me, what that means is that the Republican Party, as we know it, should not exist as a party. It needs a fundamental transformation or a different party.
Trump is planning to visit the Rio Grande Valley. You're in your home state this week. What is the direct effect of Donald Trump's actions and words on that community? Because we know he is going to tell one story. What is the story you want people to know?
What I want people to know is that so many of those communities down there on the border are safe communities. They're communities where people of different backgrounds have worked well together, have lived well together for generations. They're bilingual, bicultural communities. And this is his old standby. Anytime he's in political hot water, anytime he's losing some of his base, he's losing some support even among Republicans, which clearly in the last few days he has lost some support. He goes right back to that red meat. And that red meat is stirring up hate, especially against brown immigrants. He started his campaign off like that in 2015 when he came down that escalator and called Mexican immigrants criminals and rapists. And he's ending his presidency by trying to stoke that same passion, that same hate and bigotry toward brown immigrants. That's as plain as day, and people can try and sugarcoat it any way they want. But at the end of the day, that's what this man has been about. It has defined who he has been as president.
Secretary, we know that House Democrats are moving to impeach the president this week. Do you believe that he should be charged with sedition?
Yes, I do. I believe that he should be removed from office in any way that they can legally do that, the 25th Amendment, or, of course, through impeachment. I actually don't believe that it matters that he only has, less than 2 weeks left in office, because there needs to be accountability for him inciting insurrection. If you don't hold this president accountable right now, you're sending a message to future leaders, to future megalomaniacs, that it's okay to commit crimes, to try and incite violence against your fellow public servants, to try and overthrow a legitimately elected government. And that's a message that you cannot afford to send if you expect to preserve a democracy. So my hope is that the House will act quickly, that when it makes sense, either immediately or in a few weeks, they're going to send those articles of impeachment or that one article of impeachment over to the Senate. And my hope is that the Senate will act at that time. We need to stamp into history the crime that Donald Trump has committed and that he was unfit for office, and set an example with him for future leaders in our country.
All right, Secretary Castro, thank you so much for your time.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.